My fiancé was in a car accident and lost a lot of blood. I donated a great deal of blood to save him. When he woke up, he accused me of tampering with his brakes to force him into marriage, claiming I was using my life-saving act as leverage. After we married, he never stopped resenting me. Right before I died of my illness, he said in a disgusted tone that I should stop bothering him in my next life. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to the day he got into the car accident. This time I paid him no mind, turned off my phone, and went out drinking and having fun with my best friend one. When I opened my eyes again, it was already the dead of night. I was jolted awake by the ringing of a phone. Bolting upright in bed and gasping for air. The screen showed Mom. Almost without hesitation, I answered the call on instinct. Xiaozhou has been in a car accident, Xiaozhou. My mind was still foggy, and I asked in a daze, which Xiaozhou? Your fiancé Joey ran. Mom sounded very urgent. We're already at City First People's Hospital. We're about to donate blood. So you should come quickly with that. Mom hung up the phone in a frantic hurry. I shook my head. And only then did I finally confirm that it seemed I had been reborn. After rushing to the hospital, the exact same scene from my past life unfolded before my eyes. The couple weeping uncontrollably outside on the surgical ward were none other than Joey Rant's parents. My mom and dad each comforted one of them with a gentle pat on the back, while medical staff hurried in and out of the operating room, handing over a new document with every swing of the door. Who are the patient's family members? Come and sign this. The doctor said gravely. There's massive hemorrhaging. We need a significant blood transfusion. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Joe let out a sob. Her eyes rolled back, and she fainted. Although Mr. Joe didn't faint, he was in no state to make a decision either. My parents' connection to the situation is too tenuous clearly. The hospital couldn't hold them responsible. That being the case, it seemed the only person left to make the decision was me. The fiancé before their gazes could settle on me. I had already slipped into the stairwell beside me. I watched them quietly through the crack in the door. Joe Aran wouldn't die, I knew it. Blood banks can exchange blood for blood. And there are plenty of unregulated, black market blood banks outside. If they want to. They certainly won't let Joe Aran die so easily, but the blood from outside isn't necessarily clean. It fails to meet the multiple filtration standards for medical use and often harbors viruses like HIV. Joe Iron won't die. But he will suffer from many complications. But what does that have to do with me too? Sure enough, not long after Mrs. Joe regained consciousness, she immediately took out her phone and started calling everyone she could think of. I'm sorry to bother you, but our Zoe Ran is hemorrhaging badly and urgently needs a blood transfusion, could you please? The Joe family had plenty of friends. Yet when it came to this kind of matter, not a single one was willing to show up. Looking at Mrs. Joe's tear-swollen eyes and her suppressed angry curses, I couldn't help but shake my head and sigh. If anyone is to blame, it can only be Joe Iron himself originally. Given the social connections of Joe's parents, finding people to donate blood would have been as easy as pie. It's all Joey Rant's fault. He's always been arrogant and full of himself, never showing any respect to his elders, no matter the time or place. After getting a girlfriend, he became even worse, picking fights and showing contempt for everyone around him on her behalf, often acting like a hot-headed knight, ready to storm the castle for his lady. As a result, he managed to offend every single person who, out of friendship with the Joe family, had been willing to include him and his little girlfriend in their social circle. Now that they've heard about Joey Rant's car accident, why on earth would any of them come forward to donate blood? In my past life, I was foolish enough to drag my barely recovered body and force myself to donate 500 cc of blood to Joey Ran 3. But back then, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I even felt fortunate when Joey Ran, after I donated the blood, broke up with his girlfriend as a matter of course and obediently married me. I was fortunate to be the one by his side back then. But in my devotion I completely overlooked the toll it took on my own body after donating blood for him. My vitality was drained. My foundation weakened. I grew fearful of the cold in winter and the rain in summer. With a dull, persistent headache that haunted me year-round. My health never recovered. The year I turned 32, I finally collapsed. Confined to my sickbed. Unable to rise again. And at that very moment, Joey ran right in front of me, knocked the water glass from the maid's hand. What exactly are you pretending to be? Joey ran counted on his fingers. Do you have any idea how much money I've spent on your treatment? 300,000. That's enough to buy me a motorcycle. Joey ran, are you still only thinking about your motorcycle at a time like this? I widened my eyes. But my voice came out weak and feeble. If not the motorcycle, then what you? Joey ran looked me up and down with undisguised disdain. I don't buy it. It was just a blood donation. Are you really planning to hold that over me for the rest of my life? Besides, if you hadn't tampered with my brake pads, how could I possibly have gotten into that accident? And Wan Wan told me she was the one who was supposed to donate blood for me back then. It's all your fault for stopping her outside the hospital. It was only then that I realized Joe Iran had carried a lifelong regret, never being able to marry by Wan Wan, because I had gotten in the way. He even went so far as to maliciously suspect that I was so obsessed with him, so pathologically in love, that I tampered with the brakes and deliberately drove away by Wan Wan when she wanted to donate blood. All just so my blood would flow in his veins, allowing me to leverage that favor to marry into the Joe family. Faced with such absurd accusations, I was absolutely furious. Joe Iran looked at my weakened state, and the words that came out of his mouth grew more and more provoking with each sentence. Could you please stop haunting me in the next life? How can a woman stoop so low and degrade herself like this? Finally, under the weight of Joe Iran's vicious curse, I breathed my last, and now, with no one left to exchange blood, Joe's mother has set her sights on the illegal blood banks operating outside the hospital. Only I know that after receiving blood from those black market banks, it'll be a miracle if Shui Ran doesn't fall ill. I deliberately timed it perfectly, ignoring WeChat messages and phone calls. Only after they had paid up and everything was settled did I power off my phone, grab some food and sweet soup and head over. Why aren't you answering your calls? Ting ting. Auntie Zhou was frantic with worry. She grabbed my hand and pleaded. Auntie has a favor to ask. Could you donate some blood for Iran, Auntie? Under normal circumstances, I couldn't possibly refuse your request. After all, he is my fiancé. But let me put it this way. Didn't you just purchase some blood? Why don't we wait until that's been used? If it still isn't enough, I promise I'll donate that way. They'll have absolutely no grounds to pressure me. I offered a few words of token comfort. Uncle, Auntie, I'm going to contact the doctor for Iran. I said my goodbyes and left. Mr. and Mrs. Zhou thanked me profusely. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched my lips. I turned on my phone, found the pin chat with the black and pink cartoon cat avatar, and sent a message without any preamble. Hey girl, you around? Let's grab a drink. After sending that message, I didn't even wait for a reply. Just turned my phone off again. I hailed a cab and headed straight for the bar. I'm sure that by the time I emerge from the arms of the bar's 18 male models tonight, the situation with Joe Iran will be settled one way or another. For I just never imagined that Joe Iran would have such incredible luck after receiving all that tainted blood. He didn't suffer any rejection or complications. Instead, he's full of life and energy. It's true what they say. The good die young, while the wicked live 1,000 years. And you? I heard your fiancé was hospitalized after a car accident. How do you have the nerve to come drinking with me? My best friend Sun Ningxiao, while sipping her whiskey, groped the ABS of the male model beside her and asked me. I waved my hand dismissively. Don't even mention him. He's such bad luck. What's wrong? You know why he got into that car accident. I scoffed and crooked a finger at Sun Ningxia. The other woman, Sun Ningxia, true to being my best friend, hit the nail on the head right away. I gave her a thumbs up. He got horny last night. Came looking for me. But I turned him down actually. It was Joey Ran who only told me this at the very end of my previous life by my sick bed. He confessed everything he had done to wrong me, including the fact that he wasn't running away for love that night. Instead, he had come to me driven by desire. And I refused him on the grounds of not engaging in premarital sex. He thought the highway toll was cheaper than paying for sex. And that no matter how flawed Bai Wanwan's character was, she was still cleaner than a woman from the streets, I believe. In that moment, Joey Ran didn't truly love Bai Wanwan. That man was simply selfish to the extreme. 5. It's a damn shame he wasn't struck down by lightning and blasted to smithereens. After hearing my words, Sun Mingxia furiously smashed her wine glass to the floor. The shards startled the male model, who quickly shielded her while picking up the broken pieces with his bare hands. I sneered inwardly. Isn't that right? I'm afraid that once tonight's drinking session is over, I'll still have a tough battle ahead of me. By the time I stumbled out of the bar, it was already morning the next day. After a night of emergency treatment, Zoe Ran was successfully out of danger and transferred to a general ward for observation. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I couldn't get in touch with the doctor. The moment I walked through the door, I slumped to the floor and started crying. I even broke my phone and had to walk all night to get back. That's full of holes. But I trust my parents won't give me a hard time on New Year. What are you doing? The floor is cold. My mother helped me up. Her face etched with worry. Yeah. You need to be prepared, she said. The doctor said Joe Iran's blood transfusion is very likely to have complications. I know how deeply you and Iran care for each other, Mom. I cut her off. I rubbed my goosebumps, suppressing a wave of nausea. It's fine, I'm not upset. That's good. Wait, what? My mom cut herself off mid-sentence, as it suddenly dawned on her. Seeing my expression was genuine, she finally took a few deep breaths. All right then. I don't like to meddle too much in you young people's affairs. That's when I finally laughed out loud in my improved mood. I decided to be merciful and go inside to check on Joey. Ran 6. The hospital room was quiet. I hadn't even reached the bedroom door of the suite before a muffled sob from inside stops me in my tracks. Ran. Look at you. Do you have any idea how much it hurts me to see you like this? I didn't even need to step inside to know. The voice belonged to Bai Wang. That name, the one I was entangled with for over a decade in my past life, was now vividly present before me. It's all right. I'm perfectly fine now, aren't I? Joey Ran whispered soothingly. That's true. Our Aaron is so handsome after all, Bai Wan said. And then burst into a giggle. Just as the two of them were lost in their intimate moment, I expressionlessly shoved the door handle all the way down. Sorry, am I interrupting your little flirtation? I said to the enormous monster on the bed. 7. The moment I laid eyes on Joe Irene, I understood exactly why Bai Wan had managed to completely overshadow me in our past life. Countless stitched wounds were concealed by white bandages across his already dark skin, making him look like a grotesque patchwork creature stitched together from pieces of flesh. To call something that's practically a mass of mangled flesh handsome, I just can't do it. My aunt asked me to come check on you. I recited the lines to Joey Ran as if it were a routine task. Get plenty of rest and recover well. We'll take care of everything for you. Chen Wanyu. Do you really have to be so insincere mid-sentence? Joey Ran impatiently waved his hand to cut me off. You didn't show up when I had surgery last night. But now that you see Wang is here, you come crawling over too. Have you no shame? He was so furious that in his agitation he covered his chest with his hand and began coughing uncontrollably. Really enjoying cough. Seeing me like this, aren't you? He was right about that one thing. I really am delighted. So I didn't deny it. I just lowered my head and said flatly, focus on recovering. Focus on your recovery. It's a miracle he didn't suffer rejection. But the long-term complications are already starting to show. There's a real chance he'll end up completely incapacitated. 8. Just a couple of days later, when I returned to the hospital, I found a large crowd gathered downstairs by the inpatient building. What's going on here, sir? I asked, grabbing an older man's arm. Someone's proposing. We're all here to cheer them on. Hearing that answer, even though the man hadn't mentioned any names, my heart skipped a beat. I pushed my way through the crowd with some effort. In the clearing at the center, a slender figure was down on one knee, his back to me, proposing to a woman in a white dress. Wan. Will you marry me? Bai Wan dramatically covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes welling up with tears of emotion. I do, Joe Irene. I do, I sneered inwardly. Do the Joe parents know their son is planning to hand over the family fortune they spent a lifetime building to Bai Wan? What's more, Joey Ran is still engaged to me, even if it's not legally binding. But once word gets around in our social circle, it won't look good. I waited quietly in the crowd. And before long, a Bentley pulled up at the entrance. 9. What are you doing? The moment Mrs. Joe stepped out of the car, she delivered a fierce slap across Joey Ran's face. The force of the slap was tremendous, leaving Joey Ran seeing stars and staggering a few steps before collapsing to the ground in the end. He was her own son. Seeing Joe Iran in such a state, Mrs. Joe could no longer maintain her stern facade. Her heart aching, she helped him up, only to have her hand slapped. "Away, don't touch me, Iran. You're still engaged to Anu. Proposing like this. Where does that leave our family's dignity?" Mrs. Joe whispered as she helped show Iran up. "Come. Let's discuss this in the room now." To everyone's surprise, Joe Irang, stubborn as a mule, shook off his mother's hand. "The engagement to Chin and Nyo was never what I wanted. Why should your adult friendships come at the cost of my marriage?" Seizing the moment, Bai Wanwan chimed in. "That's right, Uncle Auntie Irang An. I are truly in love. Please be magnanimous. You and Sister Onika should just let us be together." Mrs. Joe looked from Bai Wanwan to Joe Iran. What more was there to understand? "Are you really going to break off the engagement for this woman, Mrs.?" Joe's tone became deadly serious. Xiao Iran, however, was completely oblivious to the issue. "That's right. I love Wang Wang," he declared. "I want to be with her forever, fine, just fine in the end." Remembering he was her own son and had just been in a car accident, Mrs. Joe couldn't bear to upset him further. She took Mr. Joe by the arm and left without another word. Joe Iran just stood there watching them go, showing not the slightest intention of chasing after them. I chuckled to myself. I knew it. The moment they left, something was bound to happen that Joe Iran simply couldn't bear. Half a month later, Joe Iran was brought back home. During those days, Bai Wanwan stayed by Joe Iran's side, caring for him every single moment. He was utterly moved. Standing on the balcony, he swore out loud that he would marry no one but Bai Wanwan in this lifetime. Annoyed by the noise, I simply shut the window. My parents mentioned that Mr. and Mrs. Joe have been rushing out of the house for days now, and no one knows what they're so busy with. I know about this matter, but now is not the right time to bring it up. Joe Iran must find out on his own. In fact, it would be best if it caused a scene actually. Joe Iran's parents had been supporting an orphan outside their family for many years. During the years I was confined to bed, recovering after donating blood for Joe Iran, his parents once secretly brought that person to see me. His name was Zhou Qingyan, and to be honest, his features bore a faint but uncanny resemblance to Mr. and Mrs. Zhou. This has always made me suspicious about Zhou Qingyan's true origins. As expected, the Zhou parents have already begun preparing for Zhou Qingyan to take over from Joe Iran. This is because since returning home, Joe Iran's lingering symptoms have grown increasingly severe. He coughs frequently, sometimes even coughing up blood. His gait is no longer steady, and he requires Bai Wanwan's support for most of the day. So that day, Mrs. Joe came to me, hoping I could accompany Joe Iran to the hospital for a checkup. I really didn't want to go. Just the thought of anything related to Joe Iran makes me sick to my stomach, let alone seeing him in person. But I was too curious about whether Joe Iran's health was failing. And on top of that, Mrs. Joe had always looked after me since I was a kid. So after thinking it over for a moment, I puffed out my chest and assured her she could count on me. As expected, was right by his side this time too. Seeing me in the driver's seat, Joe Iran's face immediately darkened. "I've already broken off our engagement. Have you no shame as a woman? Must you cling to me so desperately?" Hearing those words in my past life would have undoubtedly broken my heart. But I wouldn't do that now, because I don't love Joe Ran anymore. His words hold no power to hurt me. In fact, they're almost laughable. Joe Ran only flies circle around filth. I gave him a once-over. If your mother hadn't asked for my help, do you really think I'd want to see you? How can you talk like that, sis? Bai Wang immediately stepped forward to defend Zhou Iran. Your families have been close for years. Even if Brother Iran is in a bad mood due to his health, you can't insult him like that. Wang. You're so wonderful. Moved by her words, Zhou Iran gently cupped Bai Wan's face and planted a deep kiss on her lips. Then, turning to me with a stern expression, he said, "I'll pretend I never heard what you said today. You should be thanking Wan. Are you going or not? For heaven's sake." I let out a bitter laugh of frustration and jabbed the horn with the back of my hand. "What are you doing? Stop it. Right now you're making a racket." Seeing Bai Wan was too busy covering her own ears to even help Zhou Iran, I smiled with satisfaction and rolled the car window back up. "Learned how to shut up now. If you want to go to the hospital, Get in the car quickly. I have other things to do. Zhou Iran was grinding his teeth in fury. But Bai Wanwan reminded him from the side. Brother Irene. Your health is what matters most. Don't let these irrelevant people wear you down. I sneered inwardly. Health. From the moment they bought and transfused blood from a black market blood bank. True health was forever out of reach. 11 Frankly. I couldn't be bothered to argue with them about it. He drove all the way to the hospital and watched as Bai Wanwan accompanied him shuttling between various examination rooms for repeated tests. How could this happen? As dusk was falling, Zhou Iran finally received his medical report and in a fit of anger flung it straight to the ground. White scraps of paper spluttered through the air, drawing the attention of many onlookers. I just had surgery. How dare they say I'll slowly become paralyzed? Joey ranted helplessly. I'm changing hospitals. This place is just a racket. All the doctors are in cahoots to bleed me dry. Hearing the word paralyzed, I couldn't help myself. A snort of laughter escaped me. Oh, Joey ran. In my last life, I spent my final years bedridden. No different from being paralyzed. So isn't this just your come up and die? Didn't give the two of them another thought and drove straight to the bar. This is great news. I absolutely have to have a celebratory drink with Sun Ning Xia. As for the look on Bai Wanwan's face when she heard paralyzed, the one she almost failed to keep composed. I certainly wasn't going to tell Zhou Iran about that either. The betrayal and contempt from those closest to you. Zhou Iran. It's your turn to bear it for the rest of your life. 12. I always said that Zhou Iran was no good. Sun Ning Xia and I found ourselves back at that same bar as usual. She ordered the most handsome male model and true to form invited me to join her. My phone buzzed twice. I tapped the screen and saw it was a message from my mom. After much deliberation, I still turned it down honestly. A woman hasn't even begun to explore all the fun this world has to offer. Sun Ningxiao was exasperated. Don't pour so much energy into men. Hire one male model for an evening, and you'll realize what a miserable life you've been living. I waved my hand dismissively. It's not that I don't want to. My mom wants me home right now. It's probably about Zhou Iran. Sun Ningxia knew the mess between me and Zhou Iran wasn't going to be easy to sort out. She sighed and said, all right, forget it. You should head back for now. I'll make it up to you next time. I made an empty promise to Sun Ningxia, then left the bar. But I didn't head straight home. I decided to go and see that Zhou Qingyan in private first. If I remember correctly, he should be working as a manager at one of the Zhou family's hospitals right now. An idea has been forming in my mind these past couple of days. Stepping into the opulent hotel, I spotted a slender figure impeccably dressed in a tailored high-end suit, surveying the front desk area. I remembered that suit wasn't cheap. It was bespoke, far beyond what a manager like Zhou Qingyan could afford on his own. The suit carried a different meaning altogether. By doing this, the Zhou parents were clearly signaling their intent to groom him for greater things indeed. How could a son who was likely to be paralyzed ever hope to uphold the vast family business of the Zhou family? You must be Zhou Qingyan. Let me get straight to the point. I'm Chen Anrua from the Chen family. Old friends of the Zhous. I'd like to have a word with you. Zhou Qingyan looked me up and down, then gave a gentle nod. Very well. Please come in. Did you know Zhou Iran is getting married? I shut the door and asked him point blank. Zhou Qingyan looked at me, hesitated for a long moment, then finally gave a slight nod. My mom just texted me about it. Zhou Iran is currently at home, making a huge fuss about marrying Bai Wanwan. His parents are at their wits' end. And my mom hopes I can go back and talk some sense into him. After all, the Zhou family is immensely wealthy. Who's to say Bai Wanwan isn't just after their money? Your uncle and aunt have been promoting you non-stop these past 2 years. You must know what that implies. I lowered my voice. What exactly are you trying to say, Miss Chen? What I want, I said, locking eyes with him, is to know your true origins. 13. By the time I rushed home, the Zhou family argument was already over. I ran smack into Zhou Iran as he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. He was holding Bai Wanwan's hand with his left, while his right hand hurled his phone violently to the ground. When he saw me, he muttered a curse under his breath. Bitch. I gave a faint smile. Unbothered, why should I even bother with him? It was Bai Wanwan whose Jace held the unmistakable air of a victor, as if to say, look, the man you couldn't get is now willing to To break with his family for me. I'm the only one who's truly special. But I just shook my head and walked into the room. How could Bai Wanwan possibly know that Zhou Iran has always been a man who only loves himself? All this drama he's causing now is just because he's afraid. No one will take care of him if he ends up paralyzed. He's just dragging someone down with him as a last-minute backup plan. Exhausted, Mr. and Mrs. Zhou sat on the sofa. Mr. Zhou lit a cigarette. And soon the room was filled with a haze of smoke. When he saw me arrive, he stared at me for a long moment. But in the end, he just shook his head and sighed. What a mess. We spoiled him. His mother and I. It could have been such a good match, Uncle Auntie. You mustn't say that, I said. Iran and I never had that deep of a connection to begin with. Now that he's found his true love, I'm more than happy to step aside. Besides, he's your only son. If you push him away now, who will inherit the family business in the future? I offered the advice gently, seeing Mr. Zhou's expression darkened. I smiled to myself and knew to leave it at that. 3 days later, news suddenly came from the Zhou family. Zhou Irene was getting married. The wedding was set for just 1 month later. The Zhou family sent out invitations far and wide, practically inviting every family they were on good terms with. Upon hearing the news, Mom came and knocked on my door late that same night. Yeah. Do you think your Aunt Zhou has lost her senses because of that, Bai Wang? Mom said with deep concern. Should I find a therapist for her to see? I patted my mother's hand and smiled, saying, don't worry, Mom. Auntie Zhou knows exactly what she's doing. Just wait and see the show on that day. After Zhou Irene convinced his family, Baek Wanwan simply moved into the Zhou household before the wedding. The two were inseparable every day. Occasionally, Baek Wanwan would even say some rather inappropriate things to Zhou Irene right in front of his parents. For instance, discussing whether they should have a child, or even openly coveting the Zhou family's wealth. This often infuriated the Zhou parents to the point of chest pains. Yet Bai Wanwan showed no sign of restraint. She only became more demanding of Zhou Iran, who seemed to relish every moment of it. The day of the wedding arrived swiftly. The opulent banquet hall was filled with business owners and entrepreneurs of every stature from North City. It's practically a done deal that the star of today's show will have support from all walks of life in the future. Zhou Iran and Bai Wanwan clearly thought the same. Zhou Iran even had the gall to boast. I'm my parents' only son. Even if I end up paralyzed, disabled or dead, there's no one else who could inherit their fortune. His words drew plenty of scorn from the crowd. But as the groom and out of respect for the Zhou family, no one dared to call him out directly. The wedding ceremony concluded without a hitch. Bai Wanwan beamed on stage, as if already envisioning the lavish life awaiting her as a member of the Zhou family. The next part of the ceremony was supposed to be the banquet, where the newlyweds would toast the guests. But just then, elegantly dressed Mrs. Zhou suddenly led a young man in a suit onto the stage. The hush fell over the crowd. And at that very moment, the music cut off abruptly. Mom, who is this guy? Zhou Iran frowned. I don't remember inviting him. He invited him, said Mr. Zhou. Because he is the guest of honor today. What? Ignoring Zhou Iran's expression, Mrs. Zhou had already raised Zhou Qingyan's hand before anyone could react. Everyone, I'd like to formally introduce someone to you today. My eldest son, Zhou Qingyan. The moment those words were spoken, the room erupted in a buzz of shock. Only Zhou Iran and Bai Wanwan remained frozen in place, as if they hadn't yet processed what had happened. Well, this is a rare sight, old Zhou. Why have you been keeping this from us exactly? I'm at a loss for words. Congratulations, I guess, ha. Everyone present was shrewd. The Zhou parents choosing to bring her out at this moment made their intentions perfectly clear. Zhou Qingyan's gaze swept across the stage, before finally meeting mine in the corner. I raised my glass to him, the crystal clear liquid swirling within. I smiled silently and mouthed the words to him. Congratulations. Don't forget our agreement. 15. The wedding banquet concluded with Zhou Iran and Bai Wanwan looking absolutely livid. Of course, apart from those two, everyone else could truly be said to have enjoyed themselves thoroughly. Mom, Dad, what is the meaning of this? The moment I got home, I heard Zhou Iran's furious, questioning voice coming from next door. Where on earth did this Zhou Qingyan come from? Why have you never mentioned to me that you have another son? Do we owe you an explanation about our child? Mrs. Zhou said calmly. From the moment you broke off your engagement with Chen, Nanue and proposed to Baiwanwan on your own. You should have known you had no chance left. Zhou Ran was left speechless, clearly not expecting the parents who had once doted on him so much to say such things enough. This matter is not up for discussion. You're still not well. Go back to your room and rest. Zhou Ran was practically shoved back into his room by his parents. The moment he stepped inside, Bai Wang hurled a water glass at him, striking him squarely on the forehead. You useless fool. Didn't you promise that after we got married, the entire Zhou family fortune would be ours? Bai Wanwan screamed, not caring in the slightest if his parents downstairs could hear. And now, who is this Zhou Qingyan who suddenly appeared? Zhou Ran. Did you think it was funny to lie to me? Zhou Ran reached up and touched the blood on his head, then suddenly erupted in fury. Bai Wanwan. Was marrying me all just a scheme to get your hands on my family's money? No matter what. They're still my parents. Coughing fit cough. As long as I'm alive, they can't just abandon me. But Zhou Qingyan took all the money. Bai Wanwan shrieked, lunging at Zhou Ran, completely disregarding the blood from his cough staining his lips. You're just a useless cripple with a sharp crack. Zhou Ran backhanded Bai Wanwan across the face. Then he struck her again and again, her face quickly swelling into a bruised mess. You're all dead. Women bitches. Zhou Ran slurred, staggering as he tried to make his way out the door. He stumbled forward, coughing violently until his vision went dark. His body stiffened, and the entire right side went completely numb with a loud crash. Zhou Ran slammed hard into the corner of a cabinet and fell unconscious. 16. I ran into Zhou Ran again. And once more. It was in a hospital. After being formally introduced to everyone, Zhou Qingyan began openly accompanying Mr. and Mrs. Zhou to Veritas. One event this time was no exception. He was in fact the child the Zhou couple had lost years ago. By a twist of fate, he had ended up in an orphanage, only to later be sponsored by the very same family. It wasn't until their teenage years, when their features had fully developed, that the Zhou parents noticed the striking resemblance in their appearances. That's what finally prompted them to get a paternity test. I ran into him in the hospital corridor at that moment. Zhou Ran was frantically hurling everything within reach at him as he backed out of the door. He turned his head and saw me. Not bad at all. Young Master Zhou, I said with a laugh. I still have to thank you for your help. Miss Zhou Qingyan smiled gently. Would you like to go in and see my brother? You call him brother so easily, I said. What's wrong with him? The doctor said it was a sudden surge of rage that caused it. The right side of his body is paralyzed. What about Bai Wanwan's side right? After Zhou Ran got into trouble, she took the 1 million dowry and all the gold jewelry from the marriage and flew away overnight. Serves him right. I thought to myself, that scumbag and that bitch deserve each other. They're a perfect match, all right. I'll go in and have a look. I came with my parents today, so making up an excuse to leave now would be rather rude. As soon as I pushed the door open, an apple came flying at my face, which I deftly dodged. Get out, all of you, get out, everyone. It deserves to die. It's me, Zoe Ruan. I said, the figure on the hospital bed facing away from me. Indeed, Frozchen and UAI, he asked, his voice hesitant. What are you doing here? My mother asked me to check on you. Surprised, I let out a light laugh. How did you manage to get yourself into this state? Zoe Ruan didn't answer me. After a long pause, he suddenly said, Bai Wanwan and I haven't gotten our marriage license yet. I raised an eyebrow, and Zhou Ran whirled around his deeply sunken eyes and haggard, ashen complexion gave me a start. Yet he seemed completely unaware of it himself. Can we start over? I was a complete jerk before. I never should have broken off our engagement. Start over. In your condition. I shot back mercilessly. Zoe Ran. Look at yourself. You're paralyzed in bed. Can't even move. You just want me to marry you so you can have a live-in nurse. Isn't that right? There wasn't a trace of guilt on Zhou Iran's face for being exposed. So what if I am you? Me, I heard it all from Lang Wang. If you hadn't refused to donate blood, my mother wouldn't have had to buy it from a black market blood bank to save me. If it weren't for that tainted blood, I'd never have ended up paralyzed from rejection and complications. This is all your fault. Besides, you were supposed to give me the transfusion. That's how the story was meant to go. Why did you change it on your own? My heart skipped a beat. Not that the so-called story was really like that. After all that drama, It's not far-fetched to say I'm living in a fictional world. What shocked me was that Joey Ran had known about this all along yet. In the end of my past life, even though he knew I was betrothed, because I saved him, he still chose to hurl insults at me. This person is rotten to the core, Zuaran. No one is obligated to save another person. I stared at him, enunciating each word clearly. Listen well. Chen Nanue. The foolish things I did in my past life, I will not repeat them in this one. It's just the wheel of fortune turning. In this life, you can savor the taste of being bedridden and paralyzed, living a fate worse than death. 17. Joe Ran is dead on the third night. After I returned from the hospital, someone frantically pounded on my front door. You need to come quickly. That kid left a suicide note and jumped off the hospital roof. I frowned but wasn't. Shui Ran paralyzed on one side of his body. How could he possibly have gotten to the roof and jumped by himself? Without a second thought, I went out the door with my parents. To my surprise, Bai Wanwan, who had been missing for days, was also there. She held several insurance policies in each hand, casually crossing her legs as she listened to the insurance company representatives argue. It's fine. Take your time checking, said Bai Wanwan. I'm in no hurry for this money. Just make sure you see clearly. The beneficiary on all these policies is me. Don't send the payment to the wrong person. Meanwhile, the Zhou parents, especially Mrs. Zhou, were weeping uncontrollably. After all, it was their own child, gone just like that. Zhou Qingyan stood by her side, gently patting her back. It must be that woman. Bai Wanwan. Having cried her fill, Mrs. Zhou opened her bloodshot eyes and glared viciously at Bai Wanwan. Iran had just died, and she immediately jumped out demanding a share of the estate. She must be involved in this. Come on. It's not like I forced Zhou Iran to marry me at gunpoint. Bai Wanwan shrugged dismissively. Dividing assets in a divorce is perfectly normal. And I haven't even mentioned your son's domestic violence yet. Enough. The officer, having just finished taking Mr. Zhou's statement, saw the scene and reprimanded in a low voice. We will get to the bottom of this after speaking. He turned and looked pointedly at Bai Wanwan alone. Ms. Bai, please come with us. I didn't miss the fleeting look of panic that crossed Bai Wanwan's face. 18. I went to the morgue to see Zhou Iran. His body was smashed to a pulp. Least those horrifying stitch marks on his skin were no longer visible. His two enormous, bulging eyes stared wide open, refusing to close even in death. Zhou Iran, tell me, how could a paralyzed person possibly get to the rooftop by themselves? I sighed and covered the body with the white sheet. Well, you only have yourself to blame for misjudging people. The investigation results came out quickly. Bai Wanwan thought she had covered her tracks perfectly, but in reality, it was full of holes. Confronted with overwhelming evidence, she finally broke down in tears and confessed to pushing Zhou Iran off the rooftop to his death. In a scheme to collect insurance money, Zhou Qingyan helped handle the legal proceedings, and Bai Wanwan was sentenced to life imprisonment. Yet this outcome brought no sense of closure or satisfaction to Zhou's parents. On the second night after someone bailed Bai Wanwan out, she was stabbed 107 times, reduced to a bloody pulp just like Zhou Iran had been. After that I rarely saw Mr. and Mrs. Zhou again. Instead, it was Zhou Qingyan I had the most contact with, as agreed. He transferred 1% of Zhou Group shares to me. Then one day, he came to me and handed me a bottle of wine. On you. Will you marry me? I paused, drained my glass in one go, and avoided his sparkling eyes. No. I waved my hand dismissively without turning back. I'll pretend I didn't hear that. Once we step out this door, Mr. Xiao, please remember to address me as Vice President Chen. The world is vast and I, Chen and Neo AI, will no longer be confined by matters of the heart. Those past events have all drifted away with the wind. From now on, I will embrace my own brand new life. The end. Story 2. I used my down payment savings for a house to support my boyfriend Lu Huayan's startup for 3 years, living in a tiny rental apartment. I juggled roles as admin, accountant, and caretaker. I became a one-woman army. Everyone at the company saw me as the future Mrs. Lu, just waiting for the funding to come through so he could marry me in style. But at the celebration party for the successful series of funding, an investor gestured to the pretty new intern by his side and asked suggestively, Mr. Lu, is this the real boss lady? I looked at him with eager anticipation, but he only offered a silent smile. offering no denial under the gaze of the onlookers waiting for a spectacle. My heart turned completely cold. Fine, I get it. I don't want these future multi-million-dollar shares anymore. And I don't want this person anymore either. One Mr. Liu. Is this the real lady of the house? Investor Mr. Wang's greasy hand was about to land on Lin. With a shoulder. I tightened my grip on the wine glass. My nails digging into my palm. Lu Huayong, my boyfriend and the CEO of my company, simply smiled. He neither confirmed nor denied it. That smile was like a poison dagger, piercing straight into the softest part of my heart. The air around us instantly grew thin and suffocating. Every gaze in the room swept back and forth between me, Lu Huayong, and that in turn named Lin Weiwei like a searchlight. There was sympathy. There was mockery. But most of all, the thrill of watching a spectacle. A blush crept across Lin Weiwei's cheeks as she shyly lowered her head. Yet the glance she cast my way from the corner of her eye held the air of a victor. A silent provocation. 3 years of companionship. 3 years of giving. I used my down payment savings for a house too. Live with him in a cramped 10-square-meter rental. Starting from scratch. I was the company's admin. The accountant. His caretaker. And the sole emotional dumping ground for his late-night breakdowns. I thought we were building a bright future together, so it was all just in my head. My heart turned to ice. All in an instant I let go. The sting in my palm jolting me into stark clarity. I picked up my glass. A polite smile fixed on my face. And walked towards Mr. Wang and Lu Huayan. Mr. Wang, you do have a sense of humor. My voice was not loud. Yet it clearly cut through the surrounding chatter. Mr. Lu's judgment could never be that poor. I glanced at Lin Weiwei's instantly pale face. And the smile at the corner of my mouth deepened. This Lin Weiwei has been with the company for less than a month and can't even balance a simple report. How is she fit to be the boss's wife? Lu Huayong's expression darkened. Su Ran, don't make a scene. He lowered his voice. A clear warning in his tone as if I hadn't heard. I walked straight up to Mr. Wang and raised my glass. Mr. Wang, I'd like to propose a toast to you. This one is to thank you for your faith in Huayan Tech. The success of our series of funding is largely thanks to you. Mr. Wang was taken aback for a moment. Then let out a hearty laugh and clinked his glass with mine. I downed it in one go then. I turned to Lu Huayong and raised my glass once more. Mr. Liu, this one's for you. He frowned, as if enduring my unreasonable behavior. You've worked hard these past 3 years. I said, thinking I was backing down. His expression softened slightly as he picked up his glass. You've worked hard too, Saran. I laughed. No. What I mean is, you played the devoted good guy for 3 years. You must be exhausted from today. You're free. His glass met hers with a light, crisp clink. Then, under the stunned gaze of everyone, I let go. The wine glass fell to the floor, shattering into pieces just like my shattered heart. Lu Huayan, we're through. I don't have the fortune to enjoy being the boss's wife. Whoever wants the title can have it with that. I turned and walked away without a shred of hesitation. Behind me was a deadly silence, broken only by Lu Huayong's disbelieving, rage-filled growl. Su Ran, you stop right there. I stopped. But I didn't turn around. I just said softly to the empty air, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. I just changed the password for the company's financial system backend yesterday. The new password is 12 digits long. Combining Lin Weiwei's start date with your birthday. Have fun. 02 Su Ran, what are you trying to say? Lu Huayong's call came through at 3 in the morning. His voice thick with suppressed anger. I had just settled in at my best friend Zhou Qing's place, staring blankly at the ceiling. You know what I mean. My voice was as calm and still as a stagnant pond. Are you using the company's core data as a tool for your tantrum? He questioned me, his tone dripping with utter disbelief. Core data? I let out a soft chuckle. Mr. Liu, you can eat whatever you like. But you can't just say whatever comes to mind. I was merely following your latest directive. To make the password more meaningful after all. Isn't Miss Lin Weiwei the de facto lady of the house in your heart? A heavy, ragged breath came through the phone. I could picture him now. Absolutely furious. But utterly powerless. Don't be childish, Su Ran. His tone softened, shifting to a more conciliatory approach. I know you felt wrong today. But that was just to humor Mr. Wang. It was all an act. You've been with me for 3 years. Don't you understand me by now? I understand. I understand all too well. It's because I understand that it breaks my heart I'm tired. Lu Huai, and I don't want to understand anymore. Give me my money back. The 300,000 I gave you to start your business. Silence hung on the other end of the line. After a long pause, his voice came through cold and detached. Su Ran. You need to be reasonable. That money was for our shared living expenses. It's long gone. The company just secured funding. Every penny has to be spent wisely. Where would I get the money for you? Just as I thought. He had already planned his exit strategy, so my 300,000 just buys me. It's all gone. Su Ran. Don't put it so harshly. A hint of impatience crept into his voice. We've been together for 3 years. You've lived off me. Worn what I provided. Have I ever treated you poorly? Now that the company is doing well, you want a piece of the pie. You're really playing your cards close to the chest. Aren't you? I was trembling with rage. Eat his food. Wear his clothes for the past 3 years. To save money. I haven't bought a single piece of clothing. That cost more than 300 yuan. To make sure he ate well, I squeezed onto a packed bus for an hour after work every day just to buy discounted groceries at the market. And what about him? As soon as the series of funding hit the account, he upgraded to a luxury car worth 700,000. Lu Huayong, a person must have a conscience. All right then. Let's settle this account. I've been handling the company's administration, finance, and HR all by myself for 3 years. And I haven't taken a single penny in salary. Even at the lowest market rate. Say 10,000 a month. That's 360,000 over 3 years. I'm not asking for much, just give me back that 300,000. And we're square. In your dreams. He dropped all pretense and showed his true colors. Su Ran, let me make this clear. You're not getting a single cent. Your name isn't on the company's original stock agreement. And you're not listed in the business registration. What makes you think you can challenge me? If you come back now and apologize, the lady boss position is still yours. If you refuse to see reason, don't blame me for what happens next. Without me, you can't even afford the rent. I hung up the phone, blocked. Done in one go. Staring out at the pitch black night, I felt for the first time just how bitterly cold a Beijing winter could be. The next day, I dragged my suitcase to the office. I wasn't going back to apologize. I was going back to resign. The atmosphere in the office was strange. Lin Weiwei was sitting at my desk when she saw me. She flinched like a startled rabbit and timidly called out, Sister Ran. I ignored her. I walked straight to Lu Huayan's office door. It was open. He's in there giving the tech department a piece of his mind. You can't even crack a single password. What do I even pay you for? If you don't find Su Ran, none of you are going home. I knocked on the door. He looked up, saw me, and a flicker of surprise flashed in his eyes, before turning into smug satisfaction. He thought I had come to sue for peace. He waved the tech department staff out, leaned back in his executive chair, and looked at me with a condescending air. Had a change of heart. I placed a printed resignation letter and a work handover checklist on his desk. I'm here to resign. The handover list is clear. All the files, documents, and account information are included. As for the financial system password, I paused, looking at him. Someone as clever as you, with a lovely assistant by your side, should figure it out in no time. Lu Huayong's face was as dark as a thundercloud. 3. Su Ran, do you really have to go this far? Lu Huayong grabbed my wrist. His grip so tight it felt like he was trying to crush the bones cold. I looked him straight in the eye. There wasn't a trace of warmth in them. I'm no match for you, Mr. Liu. 3 years of feelings. And you just cast them aside. 300,000 in hard-earned money. And you claim it's gone. Who's the real heartless one here? His eyes flickered. And he let go. I'll find a way to pay you back the 300,000. He forced the words out through gritted teeth. But not right now. The company is just getting off the ground. And there are too many places where we need to spend money. Just give me a little more time. More empty promises. I'm tired of hearing it, no thanks. I pulled a document from my bag and slapped it down in front of him. This is the agreement for my initial investment, along with a complete record of all the overtime I've worked and the expenses I've covered out of pocket over the past 3 years as a core employee of this company. I've already spoken to a lawyer. This evidence is more than enough for me to file for labor arbitration and assert my seed round investment rights. Lu Huayong's pupils contracted sharply. He snatched up the document his face growing paler with each passing second. He probably never expected that a woman he saw as only concerned with domestic trivialities would have an ace up her sleeve like this for 3 years. I kept a silent record of every verbal promise he made, every expense he had me cover in advance, and every time he said, "Once the company goes public, all of this will be yours." I even recorded some of it. I used to see these as tokens of our love. Now they are my weapons to hold him accountable. You set me up. His voice was trembling likewise. I stared at him coldly. I only want what I'm owed. My initial investment of 300,000, plus the 0.5% equity stake that sum corresponds to, based on the company's series evaluation, or you can pay me the lump sum cash equivalent based on a 200 million valuation. It's not much. Just 1 million. You're out of your mind. Lu Huayang jumped up as if he'd been scalded. "1 million, you might as well just rob me. I don't have that kind of money. The company doesn't either, Su Ran. You're backing me into a corner. I'm forcing your hand." I met his gaze without flinching. "You have 3 days to think it over. In 3 days, if the money isn't in my account, my lawyer will promptly send this legal notice along with this evidence to Mr. Wang and all of your Series A investors. I imagine they'd be very interested in the founder's integrity issues with that." I turned and walked away this time. He didn't try to stop me. I could feel his gaze on my back, sharp enough to flay me alive. Stepping out of the office building, the harsh sunlight made my eyes sting. I took a deep breath, and the tight knot in my chest seemed to loosen a little. Zhou Qing was waiting for me downstairs in her flashy red sports car. So how did that scumbag react? I pulled open the car door and got in. "Probably wants to kill me." Zhou Qing stomped on the gas. "And the sports car ward to life kill you he wishes. With people like that, you can't afford to show any mercy. Don't worry. I've already called in a favor from my buddy, the best damn corporate lawyer in the capital. He'll make sure that son of a bitch gets exactly what's coming to him." I leaned back in my chair, watching the cityscape blur past the window. But inside I felt anything but at ease. I know Lu Huayang's character. He won't give in that easily. Sure enough, that very afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Lin Weiwei. She was sorry, sobbing, and went on and on. "Sister Ran, please don't blame President Liu. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have come to this company. I shouldn't have caused this misunderstanding between you. You and President Liu have shared so many years together. How can you just break it off like that? Company can't do without you right now. And neither can President Liu." I listened quietly to her performance. "Are you finished?" She was taken aback for a moment. "Sis," ran Lin Weiwei. "I don't have time for your little performance. Go back and tell Lu Huayang that my terms are non-negotiable. Also, next time you want to play the innocent victim, get yourself a better script. This version of yours is just too cliché." Hanging up the phone, I just felt sick. The next 2 days passed without incident. Lu Huayang did not contact me again. A vague unease began to stir within me. Then came the afternoon of the 3rd day. As the agreed-upon deadline, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment, but answered it anyway. On the other end of the line was a cold, unfamiliar man's voice. "Is this Ms. Su Ran speaking? Hello. We suspect you are involved in the theft of trade secrets from your former employer and subsequent extortion. We need you to come to the XX District Economic Crime Investigation Unit to assist with our inquiry. 04 Cooperate with the investigation." My mind went blank for a moment. What trade secrets? What extortion? "Are you sure you've got the right person?" The voice on the other end of the line was completely flat. "Your former employer, Mr. Lu Huayang, the legal representative of Huayang Technology, has officially filed a report this morning. He alleges that upon your resignation, you maliciously deleted critical company data and used it to extract 1 million yuan from him, Ms. Su Ran. We are simply following procedure. Please cooperate." My hands and feet went cold as I clutched the phone. Lu Huayang. He actually called the police. He really didn't show a shred of our past affection. They were even willing to go so far as to have me thrown in jail. Zhou Qing noticed my expression had changed and snatched the phone from me. "Hello. Who is this? How dare you accuse my friend of extortion? Where's your proof? This is slander." Zhou Qing yelled into the phone for a moment before hanging up. "Don't be scared, Ran Ran." She grabbed my hand, her palm warm and firm. That bastard is just trying to scare you. Don't fall for it. I'll call my buddy the lawyer right now and have him come with us. Half an hour later, Zhou Qing's lawyer friend, a man with gold-rimmed glasses who looked both refined and shrewd, appeared before us. His name was Lawyer Qing. After hearing my account, Lawyer Qin adjusted his glasses, his expression turning serious. This is a bit of a tricky situation. While we have the audio recordings and transfer records to prove your investment, the other party is adamant about the charges of malicious data deletion and extortion. If these stick, the consequences will be severe. My heart sank. So what should I do? First and foremost, you absolutely cannot admit to having deleted any data. Attorney Qin looked at me. You merely changed the password at his suggestion, correct? I nodded emphatically. That's correct. I only changed the password. The handover list clearly states that all data is intact. I didn't delete a single thing. Good. Secondly, regarding that 1 million, we must assert it was your rightful investment return, not extortion. The key is to convince the police that your claim is legitimate, while Lu Huayang's accusation is an act of malicious retaliation. My heart was in my throat the whole way to the Economic Crime Investigation Unit. I had imagined countless scenarios of confronting Lu Huayang, but I never expected to see an unexpected person at the entrance of the unit. Mr. Wang, the investor who lit the fuse for all of this at the celebration banquet. He was standing beside a black Bentley, with a young man in a suit by his side. Seeing me, Mr. Wang actually took the initiative to walk over Miss Su. It's been a while. The greasy look from that night was gone from his face, replaced by a shrewd, appraising sharpness. I regarded him warily. Mr. Wang, what can I do for you? I heard you've run into a bit of trouble. He pointed at the door of the Economic Crime Investigation Unit. That young man, Lu Huayang, is talented, but his vision is too narrow and his methods are downright dirty. To throw a loyal comrade who helped him build his business into prison for just 300,000, a man like that won't get far. I remained silent, unsure what his game was. Mr. Wang smiled, as if he had seen right through me. I'm here today to discuss a business proposition with you. The young man beside him handed over a business card. Chen Jing, legal director, Stark Capital. My heart skipped a beat. Miss Su, Mr. Wang holds you in very high regard. Chen Jing spoke, his voice calm and professional. He believes your value to Huayan Technology far exceeds the 300,000 yuan they tried to swindle you out of. The evidence you have on Lu Huayang, along with your knowledge of his company, is your greatest bargaining chip. I watched them, my mind racing. What does Chairman Wang want? It's simple. Hunter's gleam flashed in Mr. Wang's eyes. I invested in Lu Huayang for his technical prowess, but I've come to realize his management skills and personal character pose a significant risk, and you, Miss Su, are precisely the person to mitigate that risk. Star Sea Capital is prepared to purchase your 300,000 yuan seed investment stake. We are prepared to pay you the corresponding equity consideration based on the series evaluation of 200 million, which comes to 1. Furthermore, we will help you resolve your current predicament. The sole condition is that you must serve as our special advisor, and at the upcoming board meeting, assist us in persuading Mr. Lu Huayang to understand that a company is not his personal fiefdom. I was stunned. Just when I thought I was at a dead end, the situation turned around in an instant, and the one extending the olive branch to me was actually the investor I had considered an enemy. I looked into Mr. Long's shrewd eyes, then glanced back at that austere building. Lu Huayang wants to utterly ruin me, to destroy me beyond recovery. Little did he know, he had personally propelled me into a far vaster battlefield. A battlefield where I could utterly crush him beneath my heel. I smiled, not a bitter smile, nor a scornful one. It was a laugh born of cold, grim satisfaction, rising from the depths of a soul that had finally seen the light. I extended my hand toward Director Wang. Director Wang, I look forward to our cooperation. However, my terms are going to need some adjustments. I can take a little less money, but I want 3% of Huayan Tech shares. 05. Mr. Wang was taken aback for a moment, then burst into laughter. Interesting, Miss Su. You have even more nerve than I imagined. The legal director beside him, Chen Jing, adjusted his glasses, his gaze sharp behind the lenses. Miss Su, a 3% stake based on the current Valuation of 200 million comes to 6 million. This premium is far too high. It's not. I met his gaze, refusing to yield an inch. Director Chen. You've only accounted for the value of my 300,000 principal. You've failed to account for the value of my 3 years of unpaid labor, my core management contributions, and the intelligence value I'm about to provide to help you take down Lu Huayang. More importantly, you currently need a legitimate pretext to intervene in Huayang Technology's internal affairs. And I, the founding member who was betrayed, ousted, and even framed by the founder, am your best weapon. My very existence is a testament to a major flaw in Lu Huayang's management. Its value far exceeds 6 million. The air grew still. The smile vanished from Mr. Wang's face, replaced by a look of deep scrutiny. He was a businessman through and through. He can see my worth. So of course he can gauge my ambition. MSU, regarding the shares you want. Are you looking for a long-term holding, or would you prefer us to hold them on your behalf and then liquidate? This question is crucial. The former means I want to stay in the game. The latter means I'm just looking for a quick payout. Of course it's a long-term hold, I said with absolute conviction. I've watched Huayang Tech grow from the ground up. I understand its potential better than anyone. I won't hand it over completely to a man with such a limited vision. That statement completely won over Mr. Wang. He needed someone who could counterbalance Lu Huayang, and who truly understood the company's operations. And I was the perfect candidate. Excellent. Chairman Wang clapped his hands. Let's do it your way, Chen Jing. Draft the agreement immediately. Also, contact the Economic Crime Investigation Unit and have the case dropped. I want to see Ms. Su walk out of here safe and sound within the hour. Chen Jing nodded and immediately pulled out his phone to make a call. Swift and decisive action, that's the power of capital. Lu Huayang wants to use the law as a weapon to condemn me to hell. And Mr. Wang has the power to render this weapon completely useless. I stood there watching them bustle about on my behalf, a whirlwind of emotions turning inside me. So this is how it is. In the face of absolute power, so-called rules are utterly defenseless. I used to always think I could rely on feelings, on Lu Huayang's so-called conscience. Now I understand mountains can crumble and people can walk away. Only the strength and value you hold in your own hands are everlasting. In less than half an hour, Chen Jing returned. Miss Su. Done regarding Lu Huayang. Our legal department has had a word with him. He has agreed to drop the case and acknowledges that his initial report was based on a misunderstanding. Here are the share transfer and consultancy agreements. Please take a look. I took the agreements and examined every single word with great care. The terms were clear with rights and responsibilities well defined. Starseed Capital invested 6 million to forcibly transfer 3% of the equity from Lu Huayang's personal holdings into my name in exchange. I must relinquish all other monetary claims against Lu Huayang. Concurrently, I will serve as Starseed Capital's operations advisor, stationed at Huayang Tech, wielding veto power, particularly over major financial expenditures and personnel appointments. This is practically a tailor-made golden handcuff for Lu Huayang. I signed my name. In that moment, I felt I wasn't signing a contract, but rather a letter of farewell to the past, and a declaration of war on the future. Let's go, Miss Su. Mr. Wang made a gesture of please. The real show is just beginning. Your first assignment is to attend Huayang Tech's weekly meeting this afternoon in your new identity. 06. The conference room at Huayang Tech was thick with cigarette smoke. Lu Huayang sat at the head of the table, his face as dark as a thundercloud. He had just received a call from Chen Jing, who had ruthlessly humiliated him with cold, unfeeling legal statutes and the ruthless rules of capital. Not only had he failed to put me away, but he was now being forced to cough up shares worth 6 million, go for wool and come home shorn. He couldn't fathom how things had come to this. Su Ran, that woman he saw as weak, obedient, and at his beck and call. How had she suddenly managed to connect with Stellar Sea Capital? The atmosphere in the conference room was unbearably tense. All the department heads kept their heads down, not daring to breath too loudly. Lin Weiwei sat in the seat next to Lu Huayang, carefully refilling his water. Her eyes were red-rimmed, looking as if she had suffered a grave injustice. Lu, Sister Ran, how could she do this to you? You built this company from the ground up. She's trying to ruin you. Fine. When she kept quiet. But the moment she spoke, Lu Huayang's temper flared up instantly. Shut up. He growled. If it weren't for you, would things have turned out this way? You can't even balance a simple report. And you couldn't even manage to calm Su Ran down. What good are you to me? Flinched at the shout. Tears immediately welling up in her eyes. She felt wronged, yet didn't dare to talk back. The surrounding employees exchanged glances, each lost in their own private calculations. Just then, the conference room door swung open. I walked in dressed in a sharp business suit and high heels. Following close behind me was Chen Jing, the legal director of Stellar Sea Capital. Instantly, all eyes in the room were fixed on me. Shocked disbelief, utter incredulity. Lu Huayan shot to his feet, his eyes blazing as he stared daggers at me. Su Ran, what are you doing here? I ignored him, walked straight to the conference table. I entered the classroom and scanned the room. Finally, my gaze settled on Lin Weiwei. That seat used to be mine. Excuse me, miss. I rapped my knuckles on the tabletop. The sound was quiet, yet it carried an air of unquestionable authority. Excuse me. Could you move? This is my seat. Lin Weiwei looked at Lu Huayang with a pleading expression. Lu Huayang's lips trembled, but he couldn't utter a single word. Chen Jing stepped forward and placed a document on the conference table. Everyone, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Chen Jing, the legal director of Star Sea Capital. Starting today, Ms. Su Ran will officially join Huayan Technology as the operational consultant assigned by our Star Sea Capital. Furthermore, through amicable negotiation, Mr. Lu Huayang has transferred his personal 3% stake in the company to Ms. Su Ran. In other words, Ms. Su Ran is now not only a consultant for the company, but also its third largest shareholder. Whoa. The conference room erupted in an uproar. Everyone was looking at me as if I were a monster. The former boss's wife kicked to the curb. And now she's the representative of a major capital firm with deep pockets and a hefty stake. This plot twist is more dramatic than a movie. Lin Weiwei's face instantly drained of color and she swayed unsteadily. Lu Huayang's fists clenched with an audible crack, veins bulging on his forehead. I pulled out the chair and settled into it with deliberate ease. Finding myself directly opposite Lu Huayan, I offered him a gentle smile, as warm and pleasant as a spring breeze. Mr. Lu, it's been a while. I trust you've been well. As the company's new shareholder and advisor, I trust you don't mind my attending the weekly meeting. He glared at me with intensity that felt like he was trying to devour me with his eyes. Ignoring his fury, I picked up the meeting agenda from the table. All right. Everyone, let's not waste any more time. Let's get back to the meeting. What's the next item on the agenda? Oh, the budget approval for the company's purchase of a new batch of servers and the office relocation. I looked at the head of administration. Let me see the budget proposal. The administrative director wordlessly handed me the document. I glanced at it and saw 2 words scrawled in a flamboyant hand. Huayan approved. Total budget, 2.8 million. I picked up the pen and drew a big, bold X right across that budget sheet. I'm vetoing this budget. 07. On what grounds? Lu Huayan finally snapped, slamming his hand down on the table. Su Ran, you're going too far. I am the CEO of this company. I have the authority to decide its direction. Oh. I looked up, meeting his furious gaze, a mocking smile curling at the corner of my mouth. CEO Mr. Lu, have you forgotten as CEO? You're currently just a hired hand with a smaller stake in the company than I hold. According to my agreement with Stellar Sea Capital, as an operational consultant, I hold unilateral veto power over any non-core business expenditure exceeding 500,000. I do not approve this budget of 2.8 million. Any objections? Lu Huayang's chest heaved with rage. Yet he couldn't muster a single word in rebuttal. Agreement was one he personally consented to, in black and white, and legally binding. I had him completely under my thumb. You're using your official position for personal revenge, he hissed through clenched teeth. Yeah, I admitted it freely. So what if I'm using my position to settle a personal score? I scanned the room, taking in the faces of the colleagues, who had fallen completely silent. Everyone, as I've just taken over, I'm not yet fully up to speed on the company's current financial situation. I'd like to ask the finance department, how much of the 20 million from our series of funding is still left in the accounts? The CFO was a man in his 40s. Namely, we had gotten along fairly well in the past. He wiped the sweat from his brow and stole a cautious glance at Lu Huayong. There's still over 16 million left, is that so? I smiled. The funding just hit the account 2 weeks ago. And you've already burned through nearly 4 million. Distinctly remember there was several hundred thousand in liquid assets in the company account before I left. Director Lee, could you provide me with a detailed breakdown of the expenditures over the past fortnight? Director Lee's face grew even paler. Lu Huayong's voice turned cold. Su Ran. What are you implying? Are you accusing me of embezzling company funds? I'm not. I looked at him with an innocent expression. As a new shareholder, I'm simply exercising my right to understand the company's operations. Or perhaps, Mr. Liu, you feel this particular account can't stand the light of day. That statement left him with no room to maneuver. If he were to say it can't stand the light of day, it would be a clear admission of guilt. If he dares to claim it's above board, then he must produce the accounts. After a tense standoff lasting a full half-minute, Lu Huayong finally gritted his teeth and said to Director Lee, "Give it to her. I only needed a single glance at the transaction statement to spot the issue, Mr. Liu. What's the story behind this 700,000 vehicle rental fee?" I pointed at one of the expense items. Since when does the company need to rent such an expensive car? Lu Huayong's expression changed. That sum was precisely the money he used to buy himself that new luxury car when he was doing the books. He had the finance department categorize it under long-term company lease, thinking it could be used for tax avoidance. Only he and the CFO knew about this. He never expected that I would spot it right away. This is for company business use to transport important clients, he retorted defiantly. Oh really? I turned to Director Lee. Director Lee, could you please also provide the lease agreement and usage records for this vehicle? A cold sweat instantly broke out on Director Lee's forehead. What contract and usage records are you talking about? The car has clearly been driven by Lu Huayong himself the entire time. The atmosphere in the conference room had become utterly bizarre. Everyone could see that I had come today with the sole purpose of causing a scene. And I had come fully prepared, armed with the Emperor's sword. Absolute authority. And then there's this one. I pointed to another expense item. High-end community apartment rental. 30,000 a month. Paid for a full year up front. That's 360,000, Mr. Liu. Since when does the company provide such generous benefits for employees? How come I wasn't aware? I remember that tiny rental we used to live in. Barely over 100 square feet. And it only cost 2,000 a month. With every word I spoke, Lu Huayong's expression grew darker. That apartment was the one he rented for Lin Weiwei. A golden cage for a kept woman right now. In front of all the company's executives. I tore off the fig leaf one piece at a time. Lin Weiwei's face had turned from pale to ashen. She wished the ground would swallow her up. Enough. Lu Huayong shot to his feet and pointed a finger right at my nose. Su Ran. What on earth are you trying to do? What am I trying to do? I stood up, meeting his gaze head on. My presence not yielding an inch. It's simple. First, conduct a full re-audit of the company's accounts. All non-compliant expenditures must be personally reimbursed by the responsible individuals. In other words, Mr. Liu, you will personally cover the cost of that 700,000 yuan car and the 360,000 yuan rent. Second, withdraw this 28 million yuan budget proposal. All procurement plans are to be re-evaluated. Third, I paused, my gaze shifting to Lin Weiwei, who was trembling like a leaf. Fire her. 8. On what grounds? Lin Weiwei shrieked, unable to maintain her facade of fragile vulnerability any longer. On what grounds are you firing me? I haven't done anything wrong. Oh really? I let out a cold laugh, pulled another document from the folder and tossed it in front of her. Lin Weiwei, in turn, employed for 1 month and 7 days during the internship, made errors in organizing important client data on 3 separate occasions, resulting in customer complaints. On one occasion, mistakenly sent the company's internal quotation sheet to an external client group, causing a leak of pricing information. Last week, with your assistance, the company servers were hit by an unknown virus, resulting in the loss of nearly a quarter's worth of client follow-up data. Would you consider these mistakes? With each point I made, Lin Weiwei's face grew a shade paler. She had assumed Lu Huayong would help her bury these incidents, keeping them completely under wraps. She never expected that I knew every last detail. You. How could you possibly know? Because I'm the one who has to clean up these messes. I looked at her calmly. Every time you mess up, it's Mr. Lu who calls me to clean up your mess from afar. You think you're flawless. But in reality, someone's just been carrying the weight for you. Oh no. Not anymore. There's no one to cover for you now. I turned to the HR manager. According to one company policy, a major work error during the probationary period can result in immediate termination, correct? The HR manager nodded repeatedly. That's correct. Consultant Sue. Then what are we waiting for? I rapped my knuckles on the desk. Now immediately. Start the paperwork. He treated her coldly, his eyes brimming with disgust and impatience. A woman who had caused him such immense trouble and publicly humiliated him had lost all her usefulness. He shook off her hand. You made your bed. Now lie in it. Lin Weiwei stared at him in disbelief. The man who had been whispering sweet nothings and promising her a future just days ago was now discarding her like trash. Her world came crashing down. The farce in the conference room concluded, with Lin Weiwei being escorted out by security. I sat back down as if nothing had happened. All right. The obstacle has been cleared. Let's proceed. My gaze swept over everyone present. Regarding the accounting issues, I will engage the professional audit team from Stellar Sea Capital to conduct a thorough, week-long investigation at the company. All non-essential expenditures are to be suspended during this period. Mr. Liu, the 106 million shortfall under your personal account must be covered before the audit concludes, otherwise we'll see you at the board meeting. Lu Huayang's expression was beyond mere displeasure. It was a twisted expression. A mix of humiliation, rage, defiance, and a flicker of fear. He wanted to fight back, but found himself utterly powerless. Capital lawyers' rules. I'm just using the very tools he once used against others now. All of these have become a sort of Damocles hanging over his head. After the meeting, Lu Huayang was waiting for me in the office. He looked much more haggard, with bloodshot eyes and a stubble of dark beard on his chin. Gone was his former arrogance. Su Ran, we need to talk. His voice was a little hoarse. Talk about what? I stood at the doorway, not going in. What's left for us to talk about? Do you have to be like this? He looked at me. His expression complicated. Is this what makes you happy? Pushing everything to the extreme, man. Forcing everyone into a corner. I forced you. I felt like I was hearing the biggest joke in the world. You were trying to please the investors and tacitly let Lin Weiwei be seen as the boss's wife. Did you ever think about how I felt when you called the police on me just to get out of paying that 300,000? Did you ever think about our past? You're the one who backed me into a corner. Step by step. Everything I did today was nothing but a desperate counterattack. What you want is just the shares and the money, isn't it? He took a deep breath, as if making a huge concession. I'll give it to you. I'll add another 2% of the shares, making it 5% in total. You withdraw from the company and stop meddling in management. Let's part on bid terms, all right? He thinks everything I've done is just for the money. He still doesn't understand me, or perhaps he never even tried to understand. I laughed. Lu Huayan, you've got one thing wrong. In the past, I stayed by your side because of you. The person you are right now, you are utterly worthless in my eyes. I'm not staying here for the money. I'm here to take back what's rightfully mine. I poured 3 years of my life into this company. I won't hand it over to someone like you, just to watch you destroy it. I looked at his stunned face and said, word by word, from today onward, what I say goes in this company. 9. My forcible entry was like a depth charge, sending shockwaves through the core of Huayan technology. The first order of business was to work with the audit team to thoroughly examine the accounts. The findings were shocking. We had no idea until we looked over the past 2 years. Lu Huayang had embezzled far more from the company under various guises than the over 1 million I had initially discovered. There were inflated R&D material costs, payments to non-existent technical consultants, and he had even put his relatives' weddings and funerals on the company's tab. The total amount exceeded 3 million. The evidence is irrefutable. On the day the audit report was released, President Wang personally came to the company and condemned him. Emergency shareholders meeting. Only 4 people attended the meeting: Mr. Wang, myself, Lu Huayang, and another minor investor who followed the lead. Mr. Wang slammed the audit report down in front of Lu Huayan. Care to explain this, Mr. Liu? Lu Huiyan's face turned ashen. He knew it was over for him. Mr. Wang, I made a terrible mistake in a moment of weakness, a mistake. Mr. Wang let out a cold laugh. This is embezzlement, a crime. It's enough to put you away for years. Lu Huiyan shuddered and looked pleadingly at Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang, please give me another chance. I'll make up the money right away. I swear I'll pay it back, make it up. Mr. Wang shook his head. Too late. Star C Capital's money doesn't come easy. We're investing in a company with potential, not a founder's personal piggy bank. He turned to me. Advisor Su, what's your proposal? All eyes were on me. Lu Huiyang was also looking at me. His eyes filled with a pleading look. He was hoping I would spare him for the sake of our past relationship. Looking at his pitiful state, I felt not a single ripple of emotion in my heart. If I had known it would come to this, I would have acted differently. My proposal is straightforward, I spoke, my voice cool and detached. First, Lu Huiyang must return the full amount of the embezzled funds, $327 million, to the company within the stipulated deadline. Second, as a penalty, he must transfer 15% of his personal company shares free of charge to be held in trust by the founding team and key employees for future equity incentives. Third, and most importantly, I paused, looking into Lu Huiyang's desperate eyes. I propose the removal of Mr. Lu Huiyang from his position as CEO. I will be assuming the role of acting CEO, with full responsibility for the company's operations and management. As for Mr. Lu, I said with a slight smile, he still has a passion for technology. It would be best for him to focus on his role as CTO. He will be solely responsible for technology R&D and will no longer be involved in any management or financial matters. These words were tantamount to a corporate death sentence for Lu Huiyang. He went from a domineering CEO whose word was law to a sidelined, powerless tool, reduced to just writing code. This was even more agonizing for him than being fired outright. Su ran, you vicious woman. LV Huiyan shot to his feet, screaming at me hysterically. I'll fight you to the death. He lunged at me like a rabbit. Beast Chen Jing. And the security guard reacted instantly, pinning him down from both sides. He continued to struggle violently, spewing the vilest curses from his mouth. I just looked at him calmly. Save your breath. Agree to my proposal, and you can still stay here as the CTO. Refuse, and these documents will be sent immediately to the Public Security Bureau and the Securities Regulatory Commission. By then you'll lose far more than just your CEO title. His struggling ceased. His bloodshot eyes bore into me, as if trying to burn holes through me. After a long pause, he hissed 3 words through clenched teeth. I agree. He slumped into the chair, limp as a rag doll. In that moment, I knew I had won the war. A complete and total victory. 10 On my first official day as acting CEO of Huiyang Tech, the company underwent a thorough cleanout. All of Lu Huiyang's personal belongings were cleared out of the CEO's office and moved to a corner desk in the tech department. There I was sitting in that spacious, sunlit office that had once felt so far beyond my reach. The very first thing I did was to convene an all-hands meeting. I announced 2 major decisions. First, to establish an employee stock ownership pool. The 15% equity stake carved out from Lu Huiyang will be placed entirely into this pool, to be awarded as rewards to core employees who make outstanding contributions to the company. The announcement sent a wave of excitement throughout the entire company. What's the biggest draw at a startup? It's stock options and equity. Lu Huiyang was always full of empty promises that never materialized. In contrast, I laid out tangible benefits right in front of everyone. Morale was instantly stabilized. Secondly, I announced that the company will be relocating to a new office address. It's not the expensive grade A office building Lu Huiyang had his eye on before. Instead, it's a creative park with a much better price performance ratio and an equally excellent environment. All the money saved will be channeled into product development and marketing. We're cutting costs and spending wisely, putting every dollar where it counts. That's just my style. In just 1 week, the atmosphere within the company was completely transformed. The toxic office politics and favoritism were gone. Everyone was working their hardest, knowing that every bit of their effort would be duly rewarded. The company's operations are back on track. I led the tech team through 3 all-nighters to successfully recover 90% of the client data lost due to Lin Weiwei's operational error. I then personally led a team to visit each of the alienated clients. And through utmost sincerity and the most professional solutions, we regained their trust. Everything is moving in a positive direction. Everyone except one person. Lu Huayong. He had become a true human tool. He clocked in and out on time every day, sitting at his corner workstation, silently writing code. No meetings, no speaking up, no interaction with others. It was as if his soul had been sucked out, leaving behind nothing but an empty shell. Occasionally, when we crossed paths in the hallway, he would quickly lower his head to avoid my gaze. The once vibrant and spirited man now lacked even the courage to look me in the eye. While I was getting water in the break room, I overheard two new employees whispering to each other. "Who's that guy in the corner? He seems really gloomy." "Oh, you mean Engineer Liu? I heard he's one of the company's founders. A real tech wizard." "A founder? How did he end up in such a sorry state? He doesn't even have his own office." "Who knows? Word is he offended our president Su and got exiled to the boonies. So you see, in this company, you should never cross a woman. Especially not someone like President Su, who's both stunningly beautiful and incredibly capable." Holding my water cup, I turned and walked away in silence. There was no sense of vengeful satisfaction in my heart, only a deep calm. This was exactly what he deserved. Zhou Qin came too, dizzy me circling around my spacious office again and again, murmuring in amazement, Ran, you really have such a queenly aura now. Seeing that scumbag looking so pathetic now, there's just one word in my heart: satisfying." I smiled and poured her a cup of tea. "I wouldn't call myself a queen. I just took back what was rightfully mine." "Oh right." Zhou Qing suddenly remembered something, pulling a gilded invitation from her bag. "There's an internet industry summit next week, packed with big shots. I went through a lot of trouble to get these tickets. Come with me. Think of it as a change of scenery." I took the invitation. The summit's organizers were printed on it. One of the names made me narrow my eyes slightly. Tingrui Group. Tingrui Group. One of China's top-tier internet giants. It is also the most formidable potential competitor for the social app currently under development by Huayong Tech. Their product is reportedly already in the internal testing phase and could launch at any moment. Once it goes live, it will be a game changer for us. As I looked at the invitation, a bold idea suddenly struck me. 11. The Internet Summit venue was bustling with a star-studded crowd. Just about every internet titan you can think of was in attendance, dressed in a well-tailored white suit. I scanned the venue with Zhou Qing, searching for our target. "See that? The one surrounded by a crowd is Li Ziyu, vice president of Tianrui Group." Zhou Qing gestured with a slight nod of her chin. "In that direction. Rumor has it he's here specifically to drum up hype and lend his support to their new social product." I followed her gaze. Li Ziyu, looking to be in his early 30s, wore frameless glasses and carried an air of refined elegance. Yet his eyes held an astuteness that was not to be underestimated. He was my target for the day. To carve out a path under Tingrui's shadow, you either have to be faster than him, or find the fatal flaw in his product. And the best way to find that weakness is to get close to him. I took a deep breath, held my glass, and walked towards the crowd. "Mr. Li, it's a pleasure to meet you." I smiled and smoothly interjected during a pause in his speech. Li Ziyu's assistant tried to stop me, but he raised a hand to halt them. He looked at me with keen interest. "Hello, do we know each other?" "Well, now we've met." I handed him my business card. Su ran from Huayong Tech. He took the card, glanced at it, a flicker of surprise passing through his eyes. "Huayong Tech. I've heard of it." He smiled and said, "Your product is somewhat similar to what we're working on." "It is a bit similar," I readily admitted. "However, we are more focused and niche. We believe that in the gaps between the giants, a small and beautiful venture can also thrive." Small and beautiful. A hint of amusement played on Lizzie's lips. "You seem very confident, President Su. But the market is ruthless. Users' time is limited. Why would they choose you when they already have WeChat and Tenrei's new product?" It was the most pointed question, the one every investor asks. I didn't answer directly. Instead, I asked him a question. "Mr. Li, I've heard that Tingrui's new product focuses on soulmate matching and high-efficiency socializing. Is that right?" He nodded without denying it. "To achieve that, you must have built a very large and complex user profiling algorithm model. By analyzing user behavior, interests, and even chat histories, They assign various tags to users and then use these for matching. Li Zio's expression shifted. All of this constitutes the core secrets of their product, which haven't been publicly disclosed. How could an outsider like me know all this in such detail? President Su is very well informed. A hint of wariness crept into his tone. I smiled and lowered my voice. General Manager Li. The more complex the algorithm, the more prone it is to vulnerabilities. What if I told you there's a critical backdoor in your algorithm model? A backdoor that would allow anyone to arbitrarily access and modify any user profile tag, completely without authorization. Li Zio's face instantly changed. That's impossible, he instinctively retorted. Our security system is top tier, top tier. I took my phone out of my clutch, opened a page, and handed it to him. It was an extremely crude, even somewhat ugly back-end interface. Yet what was displayed on it caused Li Zio's pupils to contract sharply. It was the user database for Tingwei's new product, user profile pictures, nicknames, and the densely packed labels assigned to them were all clearly listed there. Li Ziyu 32, Vice President of Tingwei Group Interests. Classical music, Go Fitness, married. I read the information on the screen softly. A fine sheen of cold sweat broke out on Lazari's forehead. How did you get this? His voice was trembling. If this backdoor is exploited by a competitor or exposed by the media, it would spell utter disaster for Ting Rui. How I got it isn't important. I took back my phone and looked at him calmly. The important thing is, I'm the only one who knows about this backdoor now. I'll wait. I corrected myself. To be precise, it's only myself and the person who created this backdoor who know. Li Ziyu stared at me unblinking. What do you want? It's simple. I raised my glass toward him. I'll plug this security hole for you, saving you from a catastrophic disaster in return. Tim Rui. Acquire our company. Highway on Tech 12. Li Ziyu was stunned for a full 30 seconds. He had probably never seen such an audacious negotiation tactic, wielding the other party's Achilles heel. He went straight to their door demanding to be acquired. Mr. Su, this is extortion. He regained his composure, his tone icy. No. I shook my head. I'm offering you a win-win solution here. Think about it. If this backdoor is exposed, how much would Timuri's stock price plummet? What kind of impact would it have on your new product launch? Would your VP position even be secure? By choosing to acquire us, you wouldn't just eliminate a major security risk. You'd also neutralize a potential competitor and gain our entire technology and team in the process. The most important thing, I said, looking him in the eye, is that the person who created this backdoor is a genius who can silently breach your top-tier security system. Isn't that exactly the kind of talent Mr. Li would want on his team? Li Ziyu fell silent. He was a smart man. He knew I was telling the truth. Compared to the massive potential risk, spending a sum of money to acquire a small company is an absolute bargain. How can I trust you? He asked. Because I'm here talking to you instead of selling this backdoor to your competitors. I gave a faint smile. Mr. Li, I believe my sincerity has been more than adequately demonstrated. The very next day, Ting Rui Group's legal and technical teams showed up at Huayong Technologies offices. They had come for two purposes: to verify the existence of the backdoor, and to discuss an acquisition. In the conference room, the three parties, myself, President Wang, and Li Ziyu, sat facing each other. And sitting beside me was Lu Huayong. He was the one I brought when Li Ziyu's technical team had exhausted every effort, yet still couldn't locate that hidden backdoor, and could only turn their desperate, pleading eyes towards Lu Huayong. When Lu Huayong, in less than 10 minutes, pinpointed that exquisitely crafted backdoor program hidden like a work of art within lines of complex code, everyone was stunned, including Li Ziyu. The way he looked at Lu Huayong was as if he were gazing upon a priceless treasure indeed. I have never denied Lu Huayong's talent. He is a technical genius, but he is neither a competent CEO nor a suitable partner. The acquisition negotiations are proceeding very smoothly. In the end, Kingery acquired Huayong Technology outright for a price of 300 million RMB. It was a price that left everyone satisfied. As an investor, Chairman Wang made an absolute fortune and was grinning from ear to ear thanks to our shareholdings. The company's veteran employees and I achieved financial independence. As for Lu Huayong, He got exactly what he had always dreamed of, the position of chief architect at Tingui Group and a top-tier lab where he could focus entirely on technology. Okay. Free from all distractions on the day of the signing ceremony. Lu Huayang stopped me in the hallway. Why, he asked. His gaze inscrutable. You could have destroyed me. Why are you helping me instead? I'm not helping you. I looked at him. My tone even. It's just that I feel your talent shouldn't be wasted on office politics and romantic entanglements. You belong in the world of code. We were never from the same world to begin with. He stared at me blankly for a long moment, before finally letting out a bitter smile. Su ran. I regret it. If only I hadn't. There are no if onlys. I cut him off. Lu Huayang, look ahead. With that I turned and walked away, without looking back. Sunlight streamed through the huge floor-to-ceiling window, spilling over me, warm and gentle. My phone rang. It's Zhou Qing. Your Majesty. The acquisition funds have cleared, right?